Finally, the moment arrived to meet her baby. The birth was difficult, but hearing her child's first cry made all the pain seem insignificant. David, her husband, was by her side throughout the entire process, holding her hand and offering words of encouragement. Their happiness seemed complete in the recovery room as Maya held the baby in her arms, observing every detail of his face. David, still dazed by the emotion, glanced at the baby, but something troubled him. "Maya, look, he's perfect," said Maya, her eyes shining with happiness. David hesitated for a moment before stepping closer. He observed the baby more closely and felt a chill run down his spine. The baby had features he hadn't expected: darker skin and curly hair. David, being white like Maya, started to doubt. "Maya, we need to talk," he said, his voice trembling slightly. "What is it, love? Is something wrong?" Maya asked, concerned by the expression on David's face. David took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. "Maya, are you sure he's ours?" Maya was stunned. "What are you insinuating, David? Of course, he's our son." David stepped back, running his hand through his hair nervously. "Maya, I'm white, you're white. How can our son be black?" Maya felt the blood drain from her face. "David, that's impossible. There must be some genetic explanation. We need to talk to the doctor." But David was not convinced. He had already been consumed by doubts. "Maya, I can't accept this. To me, this can only mean one thing. You cheated on me. How can you say such a thing? I never cheated on you. David, he's our son, our Ethan." David shook his head, unable to hear Maya's words. "I can't do this, Maya. I can't raise a child that's not mine." Maya began to cry, holding the baby closer to her chest. "David, please don't do this. Not now. We need you. I need you." David took a step back, the decision already made in his eyes. "I can't, Maya. I can't do it." He walked out of the room without looking back, leaving Maya desolate and in tears. Baby Ethan, oblivious to all the turmoil, slept peacefully in his mother's arms. Amidst the shock and despair, Maya felt a mixture of sadness and confusion. How could the man she loved and trusted so much doubt her at such a crucial moment? The doctor entered the room shortly after, alerted by the cries and commotion. "Maya, what happened? Where's David?" Maya, with a broken voice, tried to explain. He thinks Ethan is not our son. He thinks I cheated." The doctor, understanding the gravity of the situation, tried to calm her. "Maya, let's do some tests. There's a condition called recessive genetic inheritance that could explain this. We'll find out the truth together." But Maya knew that regardless of the test results, the trust between her and David was deeply shattered. What should have been the happiest day of her life had turned into a nightmare, and she would have to find strength within herself to face the challenges ahead alone with her son. Maya decided she needed a fresh start. The suburban area where she lived was filled with condemning looks and malicious gossip fueled by David's abandonment. She knew staying there would only bring more suffering for her and Ethan. With courage and determination, she packed her things and moved to a larger city, hoping to find anonymity and the opportunity to start over. Maya found a small, modest apartment in a bustling neighborhood. It was simple but comfortable and enough for her and Ethan. The first few days were difficult, with loneliness weighing heavily on her shoulders, but she knew she had to be strong for her son. One morning, while unpacking the last boxes, Maya heard a knock on the door. When she opened it, she saw a smiling woman holding a cake. "Hi, I'm Linda, your neighbor from next door. I saw you moved in recently and thought I'd bring a cake to welcome you," said the woman with a warm smile. Maya, surprised by the kindness, returned the smile. "Hi, Linda. I'm Maya. Thank you so much for the cake. That's very kind of you." "It's nothing," said Linda, entering the small living room. "If you need anything, don't hesitate to call me." "And who is this little guy here?" Linda asked, looking at Ethan playing on the floor. "This is Ethan, my son," Maya replied, pride evident in her voice. Linda crouched to be at Ethan's level. "Hi, Ethan. It's a pleasure to meet you." Ethan smiled shyly and continued playing. Maya felt a warmth in her heart seeing the interaction. Linda seemed like a good person, someone she could trust. In the days that followed, Maya got a job as an administrative assistant at a small local company. The hours were flexible, allowing her to spend time with Ethan. Her boss, Mr. Harris, was understanding and friendly, making it easier for her to adapt to the new work environment. "Maya, you're doing very well," Mr. Harris said one day after a meeting. "If you need anything, let me know. I understand that changes can be difficult." "Thank you, Mr. Harris. I really appreciate your understanding," Maya replied, feeling grateful for the opportunity. Maya and Ethan began to settle into their new routine. Slowly, she made friends in the community, especially with Linda, who became a close friend and a sort of aunt to Ethan. One afternoon, while Maya and Linda were having coffee in the kitchen, Linda touched on a delicate subject. "Maya, if you don't mind me asking, what happened to Ethan's father? I've never heard about him." Maya sighed, knowing this moment would come. "David left us shortly after Ethan was born. He didn't believe Ethan was his son because of his skin color. It was a shock for him, and he accused me of cheating." Linda was silent for a moment, absorbing the story. "Maya, you're an incredible woman for going through all that and still standing. And Ethan is a wonderful boy. You both deserve all the happiness in the world." Maya smiled, feeling understood and supported. "Thank you, Linda. I'm trying to move forward and create a better future for us both." Over time, Maya began to feel like she had found a home. The new city, initially unfamiliar and intimidating, became a place of hope and new opportunities. Although challenges still existed, she knew she was no longer alone. With friends by her side and a job that allowed her to care for Ethan, Maya was determined to build a life full of love and security for them. Years passed since Maya and Ethan started their new life. Maya had established herself well at work, and Ethan was growing up happy, surrounded by friends and supported by the community. Life was finally getting back on track, and Maya felt increasingly confident and at peace. One day, while Maya was preparing breakfast, she heard the doorbell ring. She thought it was Linda or another neighbor, but when she opened the door, she was confronted with a face she never expected to see again: David. Her heart raced as she saw the man who had abandoned her standing on the doorstep with a remorseful expression. "Maya, can we talk?" David asked, his voice full of emotion. Maya was silent for a moment, processing the situation. "David, what are you doing here?" "Please, Maya. I know I made a terrible mistake. I need to talk to you," insisted David, his eyes pleading. Maya took a deep breath and nodded, stepping aside to let David in. They sat in the living room, and David began to speak. "Maya, all these years, I've lived with the guilt and pain of leaving you like that. Recently, something happened that changed everything. My mother fell ill, and the doctor said she needed a bone marrow transplant. For that, we all did DNA tests," he began, his voice trembling. Maya looked at him, confused. "And what does that have to do with us?" David continued, now with tears in his eyes. "I discovered that the man I always thought was my father is not my biological father. He was a black man. My mother hid this from me all these years. This means that Ethan is indeed my son. I didn't know. Maya, please forgive me." Maya felt a mix of emotions: anger, sadness, and a small spark of relief knowing that David finally understood the truth. "David, you left me at the most difficult moment of my life, accused me of cheating, and abandoned me with our son. Now you show up here expecting everything to be fixed with an apology?" David lowered his head, unable to face Maya. "I know I can't undo what I did, but I'm here asking for forgiveness and a second chance to be Ethan's father." Before Maya could respond, Ethan entered the room, drawn by the unfamiliar voice. "Mommy, who is this man?" Maya looked at her son, love and protection clearly visible in her eyes. "Ethan, this is your father, David." Ethan looked at David, confused and curious. "You're my father?" David knelt in front of Ethan, tears streaming down his face. "Yes, Ethan, I am. I'm so happy to finally meet you." Ethan looked to Maya for confirmation. She nodded slowly, her eyes filled with tears. "Yes, dear, he is your father." David tried to touch Ethan's hand, but the boy pulled back, still unsure. Maya placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder, offering comfort. "Ethan, it's okay. Let's give him some time to get to know you. David stood up, looking at Maya with gratitude. Thank you, Maya. I don't deserve it, but thank you for giving me this chance. In the days that followed, David did everything he could to regain Ethan's trust and, in a way, Maya's as well. He showed up consistently, taking Ethan to school, participating in his activities, and being a loving father. However, Maya maintained an emotional distance, still hurt by the past. One night, after putting Ethan to bed, David approached Maya in the kitchen. Maya, I know asking for forgiveness isn't enough, but I want to prove that I've changed and that I'm here for you both. I love you, Maya. I've always loved you. Maya, with tears in her eyes, responded, David, I don't know if I can completely forgive you. You left us at a critical moment, but for Ethan's sake, I'm willing to try. Let's see where this takes us. From that moment on, Maya and David began to rebuild a relationship, not as husband and wife, but as parents united by their love for their son. The road would be long and full of challenges, but both were willing to do whatever it took to ensure Ethan's well-being. The months that followed were an emotional roller coaster for Maya. David was determined to regain her and Ethan's trust, doing everything in his power to prove he had changed. He got involved in Ethan's life, taking him to school, participating in school events, and helping with household chores. Despite his efforts, Maya couldn't forget the pain and betrayal of the past. One Saturday afternoon, David took Ethan to the park while Maya enjoyed a rare moment of tranquility at home. When they returned, Ethan was excited and talkative about the time he had spent with his father. Mommy, Daddy taught me how to ride a bike without training wheels. It was amazing, Ethan exclaimed, his eyes shining with enthusiasm. Maya smiled at her son, but her gaze hardened when she turned to David. That's great, sweetheart. Why don't you go wash your hands before dinner? Ethan ran to the bathroom, leaving Maya and David alone in the kitchen. David could feel the tension in the air and tried to approach the subject cautiously. Maya, I know it's still hard for you, but I'm doing my best to be a good father to Ethan and to earn your trust back. Maya crossed her arms, her face reflecting the internal struggle she felt. David, I see the effort you're making, but it still hurts. You left us when we needed you the most. Now you expect everything to go back to normal as if nothing happened. David sighed, his shoulders sagging under the weight of guilt. I don't expect everything to go back to normal immediately. I know I made a grave mistake, but I want to be part of our son's life and, if possible, have a healthy relationship with you, even if it's not as husband and wife. Maya looked directly into David's eyes, the pain and determination visible. David, you need to understand one thing. I'm not willing to accept you back into my life as it was before. Ethan needs you, and I'm willing to let you be his father, but between us, things will never be the same. David nodded slowly, accepting the reality. I understand, Maya, and I accept that. My priority is Ethan's well-being. In the days that followed, David continued to fulfill his role as a dedicated father. He helped Ethan with homework, attended school meetings, and spent weekends with him. However, the relationship between David and Maya remained tense. One day, while Maya was cleaning the house, David arrived with an unexpected suggestion. Maya, I was thinking, maybe we could go to the park together with Ethan this weekend. It would be good for him to see us together, even if just as friends. Maya was surprised by the proposal, but considered the benefit for Ethan. All right, David, we can do that for him. Saturday arrived, and the three of them went to the park. Ethan was radiant, running between them and holding their hands. For him, it seemed like everything was finally coming together. However, Maya still kept her reservations. As they watched Ethan play, David tried to approach the subject more directly. Maya, I know we still have a lot to resolve, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes to help raise our son in the best way possible. Maya looked at him, the soft breeze moving her hair. David, it's good that you're willing to do that. I just hope you understand that my focus is on Ethan. He deserves to have a present father, but that doesn't mean I'll forget everything that happened. David, with eyes full of regret, said, I understand, Maya. I'm willing to regain your trust step by step. From that day on, the park outings became a routine, providing Ethan with precious moments with both his parents. Although Maya still maintained an emotional distance, she couldn't deny that David's constant presence was benefiting Ethan. One night, after putting Ethan to bed, David and Maya had a sincere conversation in the kitchen. "David, as much as it still hurts, I need to acknowledge that you're doing a good job as a father. That's important for Ethan, and I appreciate your effort." David smiled, relieved. "Thank you, Maya. I'll continue to do my best. I know we have a long way to go, but I'm willing to walk it for Ethan and for you." Maya nodded, feeling a small spark of hope. Although there were still many wounds to heal, she knew that for Ethan's sake, it was worth trying to find a balance. The road would be long and challenging, but with determination and patience, perhaps one day they could find the peace they all deserved. While David strived to regain Maya's trust and connect with Ethan, Maya began to notice something strange. Amid David's regular visits, he seemed more anxious and nervous than usual. She couldn't help but feel that there was something more he wasn't telling her. One night, after putting Ethan to bed, Maya decided to confront David. "David, is there something you're not telling me? I've noticed you've been more tense lately. What's going on?" David hesitated, looking at the floor. "Maya, there's something I need to tell you. Something I discovered recently that makes everything even more complicated." Maya frowned, worried. "What is it, David? You can be honest with me." David took a deep breath before speaking. "When we did the DNA test to help my mother, besides discovering my true paternity, I found documents that revealed something else. My mother was involved in something illegal." Maya looked at him, surprised. "Illegal? What are you talking about, David?" David continued, his voice trembling. "My mother was part of an embezzlement scheme. She was helping people launder money through fake businesses. That's how she managed to hide my true paternity for so long." Maya felt a wave of shock wash over her. "David, this is very serious. Have you told the authorities?" David shook his head. "Not yet. I'm afraid of what might happen to her, and honestly, I don't know how to handle this. But I needed to tell you because this could affect our lives, especially Ethan's." Maya took a deep breath, trying to process the new information. "David, I understand you're in a difficult position, but you need to do the right thing. If your mother committed crimes, it needs to be resolved legally. We can't live with this weight over our heads." David nodded, realizing the gravity of the situation. "I know, Maya. I'll talk to the authorities and do what's necessary to resolve this. I just hope you and Ethan can forgive me for this additional complication." Maya placed her hand on David's shoulder, trying to offer some comfort. "David, the important thing is that you're trying to do the right thing now. We need to be strong and face this together for Ethan's sake." In the following days, David went to the authorities and revealed everything he knew about his mother's involvement in the embezzlement scheme. The news shook the community and brought a wave of emotions for everyone involved. While David dealt with the legal repercussions, Maya continued to care for Ethan, trying to maintain normality in their lives. One afternoon, while Maya and Linda were having coffee, Linda asked, "Maya, how are you coping with all this? It must be hard, especially with Ethan so young." Maya sighed, feeling the weight of the recent revelations. "It's very difficult, Linda, but I'm trying to be strong for Ethan. He needs stability and love, and I'll do whatever it takes to ensure that." Linda held Maya's hand, offering support. "You're an incredible mother, Maya. Ethan is lucky to have you. And remember, you're not alone. We're all here to help you." With the support of Linda and other friends, Maya found the strength to face the new challenges. The situation with David was still complicated, but she was determined to do her best for Ethan's future. Even with all the secrets and revelations, Maya's resilience and love for her son guided her every step of the way. As time passed, Maya began to realize that despite all the difficulties, there was a light at the end of the tunnel. David was dealing with the consequences of his mother's actions, but he was also more present and committed to being a better father to Ethan. The road was still long and full of obstacles, but together, Maya, David, and Ethan were building a new life based on truth and hope for a better future.